So I've got a few things I'm just going to read here that kind of reiterates that whole idea, that understanding that she had and how she exhibited it. Um, Gauri Dasi was a very talented person, very talented devotee. I think in the early days of Krishna consciousness, by the potency of Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee, so many devotees came that had so many multi-abilities. It wasn't just that one thing, but it was just incredible. You could go to different places around the ISKCON world, and you would see devotees creating everything. Like, Prabhupada's palace, for instance. And so many of those devotees that worked on that project, they weren't like really trained masons or, carpenters or things of that nature, but they had a little bit of understanding. But by the inspiration of Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee of the Lord, all these wonderful attributes came out. And it was phenomenal. So we would go to New Vrindavan and see the palace, and you'd marvel at how beautiful it was and how the devotees were able to accomplish this feat. And when you went there, you felt a sense of pride, a real sense of pride that you were connected with this Krishna consciousness movement and all the multifaceted aspects of it. You could go to any place practically and you'd find some devotee there doing some great thing, some big feat. It was just incredible. Even in a small little temple. I remember when I first joined this movement, when I came into the temple, I was working outside doing a little bit of construction. Just nothing big, just a little bit of construction to make a few dollars. So when I joined, the first thing that Krus Shrestha, the temple president, asked me is, what do you do? What were you doing? I said, a little bit of construction. He said, all right. So come with me. So we went back into the area by where the Pujari room was. And he said, look, we need a set of stairs here up to this platform. And he said, go for it. And I said, okay. And I had no conception, no understanding, nothing. I didn't even have a tape measure or a hammer to hammer nails. But we said, okay, I'll do it. So we went about trying to accomplish this feat. And by Krishna's mercy, I was able to make a couple of steps. My point there is that, this surrender is completely necessary in Krishna consciousness to become empowered by the pure devotee of the Lord. I recently read something where Prabhupada said that when one becomes completely Krishna conscious, he has no debt. She or he has no debt. No debt to the demigods, no debt to the sages, no debt to family members, any country, no debt, completely cleansed of debt. Otherwise, if one doesn't become Krishna conscious, you can see how much debt there is. You're in debt to your parents for raising you, your mother, father, relatives. You're in debt to your country. We're indebted to the United States of America because we have this freedom of religion and we're able to distribute thousands and thousands and millions of books. This is a debt. We're in debt to Lord Indra for water. Right? So much debt. But one can become freed from this debt, completely freed by becoming Krishna conscious. So the point being is that that's what really happened when Srila Prabhupada was really on the planet. And so many devotees came forward and they fully surrendered themselves to Srila Prabhupada. And this is why I think Gauri is very important in that history, because she was fully surrendered. And she lived, she died so young. She was in her early 40s, I believe. I could be wrong. but she was in her 40s. And how young that is. My God. She was a devotee for like 17 years. That's all. And in that 17-year period, what she accomplished from surrendering to this pure devotee of the Lord was phenomenal. And here today, 35 years later, we're remembering her. I think that's very important in the succession of Krishna consciousness and what these individuals have done. It's so important to remember, and maybe we can see ourselves trying to do the same thing. So we're going to go from that particular tone today. So I'm going to read a little something here. This is just some devotees saying things about Gauri when she passed away. So this is a little caption here. Now, if someone would like to say something, feel free to let me know by raising your hand. Okay, Prabhuji. We'll read a little bit and then we'll ask you to say something and then we'll go from there, okay? So we'll read here. This is a devotee writing about Gauri Dasi. Quote, on June 5th, 1986, Gauri Devi Dasi passed from her body in the holy land of Vrindavan, India. For 17 years, she had been devotedly serving her spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Gauri was a sincere and dedicated preacher, giving herself fully to Srila Prabhupada's mission and working tirelessly to distribute his books. Even as she became very ill with cancer in late 1984, she never lost her vigorous determination to give Krishna consciousness to others. In 1974, Srila Prabhupada heard how the devotees are distributing his books in increasing numbers. This book distribution is called Sankirtan, a direct means of glorifying the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, specifically the Sankirtan movement. Lord Chaitanya specifically cited Sankirtan as the best process of self-realization in this age. For devotees in ISKCON, a favorite form of Sankirtan is a distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. As the words of the pure devotee reveal the true meaning of the scripture and awaken our natural devotion to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was very pleased to hear how his disciples were sincerely selling his books. Prabhupada, your Sankirtan reports are very encouraging, especially that one girl, Gauri Dasi, who has set an all ISKCON woman's record of 108 big books. This is very wonderful. Formerly, this would not have been possible, but by Krishna's grace, everything is becoming possible. Encourage them all to increase more and more. This book distribution is the essence of our mission. So, Prabhuji, would you like to say something?
Yeah. 1970 to 1980. Gauri was in the Boston Temple when Prabhupada came, and the first pujari there was Rukmini, and then Gauri took over. And one Vaishnava said that the path to Krishna is not lined with roses. And it's going to sound strange the way I explain things, but when Prabhupada saw the way Gauri decorated the altar, he was very upset, which is very surprising because Prabhupada was usually very gentle with the women because he had daughters of his own. He knew how to treat women. And later on, she came to New York and she tried her hand at painting. And the main artists were Jadharani, Muralidhar, and Parikit. And she tried her hand at copy painting. There was a demand in the temples for paintings for worship. And she was quite good at it, actually. She copied one painting that was from a Bengali poster of Mother Yasoda with baby Krishna, child Krishna, actually. And it was quite good. And finally, she ended up doing Sankirtan. And I used to go out and photograph the devotees on Sankirtan, the book distributors and the chanters. And there was a very famous street photographer named Carter Bresson. And he talked about something called the decisive moment, when you capture a moment that really tells the whole story in that one moment. Because you're not doing a movie. You have to tell the whole story in a single frame. So Gauri was on the steps of the library, the New York Public Library on Fifth Avenue, and she was preaching to somebody. And in that moment, I realized that Krishna had brought her to her Dharma, because she was glowing. A big smile on her face. She looked really happy. Before that, I never saw her look really happy, but I didn't know her that well. The brahmacharis and the brahmacharinis always kept separate. But she was really glowing, and I was able to capture that in a photograph, and I realized that Gauri had captured her Dharma. She was doing the Dharma she was made to do. And on the path to Krishna, you come for different reasons. Distress, in search of knowledge, in search of money, and desperation. And when you reach a certain point of involvement where you realize what a gift Prabhupada and Krishna have given, and you look out into the world and you see how much suffering there is, you get a point of catharsis where you say, Lord, make me an instrument. St. Francis of Assisi said that prayer, much in debt. And I think she must have said that prayer because she had to go through some challenges in her service to find her service. But when I photographed her on the steps preaching, she found her Dharma. And she looked very, very beautiful. And she carried it on for many years afterwards. But those are my memories.
Jai Prabhu, thank you. Gauri Dasi ki jai. Well, I'd like to read a letter here. After I get done with it, if someone else would like to say a few words, please raise your hand. All right. Just a letter to Gauri, Srila Prabhupada writing. My dear Gauri Dasi, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter dated January 23rd, 1975, and have noted the contents. You are a very expert book distributor, so I do not want you to give it up altogether. If you like, you can also do some painting, but you should still distribute books 2 days out of the week, at least. Always strictly follow all the rules and regulations. Rising early, attending Mangal Arti, in classes, and without fail, chanting 16 rounds daily. This will make you strong in Krishna consciousness, which is the most essential thing. Always be engaged 24 hours a day in the service of Krishna and be happy. I hope this meets you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada recognized her. Can you imagine if you're recognized by a pure devotee of the Lord? I mean, that is, what else could you possibly want in life but to be recognized by a pure devotee? That's like Krishna recognizing you. In fact, Prabhupada would say like that. It's like the spiritual master, he'll introduce you to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the pure devotee recognizing a wonderful servant. I'll read one little thing here. This is in July 19th, 1971. It's a pastime. Srila Prabhupada was a world traveler, but he was always a humble Vaishnava. He paid full attention to what we were doing. Our new Radha Krishna deities and the 20 devotees who were ready to be initiated by him. During this time, Gauri Dasi was the head pujari. She sat beside Prabhupada during the installation of Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha. As usual, there were tense moments. The clothes for the deities didn't fit, and Gauri had to cut open their seams and do last-minute sewing. This was done while the audience was watching. Somehow, she pulled through, and Prabhupada was patient. Karandar Prabhu from Los Angeles performed a fire sacrifice. Prabhupada told the Indians attending, according to Jiva Goswami, this boy can do the yajna because he chants Hare Krishna. Gauri finally made that clothing fit the deities. Prabhupada said that Krishna should be now placed on the altar. Now, I thought this was a pretty good little pastime because it shows you the multifaceted nature of a devotee of the Lord. She was a book distributor, so Prabhupada said, fine, but don't give it up. Go out at least 2 days a week, and then do some painting. Because all of us have desires to do things. So she had that desire. So she did paint. She listened to Prabhupada and she did what exactly what it is. I was with her on a couple of occasions. She would go out on book distribution, come home, paint. Beautiful picture of Lord Jagannath. I remember that. She showed me when she was painting this particular deity. And it was beautiful. So we'd been out in concourse with her during the day distributing books, and then in the evening she'd paint. And now here we're seeing that she was also a head pujari. And there was a particular program, and the clothes didn't fit. She had the stability and the strength. You can imagine a new devotee in front of Srila Prabhupada, and this happened, that they don't fit on the deity while they're doing this installation in front of an audience. And Srila Prabhupada's there. Most of us would melt like a snow cone in hell. Literally. We would die. We wouldn't know what to do. She was self-composed, immediately did what needed to be done, and while the audience was being entertained by Srila Prabhupada, boom, she finished it. She took all the threads out and then sewed it on the spot. To me, that's just like phenomenal. It's amazing. Nerves of steel, is in my opinion. Most of us in this room have not had the opportunity to be next to Srila Prabhupada. I've had that opportunity on 2 or 3 or 4 occasions. And I have to say that standing next to Srila Prabhupada, your knees buckle. Your knees would just buckle. You'd be so nervous that you don't know what to do. I was standing next to Prabhupada's Vyasa-san in the Detroit temple when they're opening. And I was this close to Prabhupada. And I was looking right at him. And he waved to me. And I froze. I literally froze. I didn't even know what to do. I was so dumbfounded and, shocked. So I tried to make a move towards Prabhupada, and I was too late. Another devotee jumped right in who wanted the mercy. And he wanted his microphone adjusted. But I'm just saying to you that if you were next to Srila Prabhupada, that if he said motion to you, you wouldn't know what to do. Trust me. Those Prabhupada disciples here that were close to Srila Prabhupada, I think they know what I'm saying. That was the potency of Srila Prabhupada. And here's Gauri, probably a devotee, it doesn't sound like very long, maybe 5 or 6 years. And here's what she's doing. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Brigapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I knew Mother Gauri from 432 Henry Street, Brooklyn. She joined before me, and I was a Sankirtan devotee, but I wasn't very steady. Ramapad Maharaj was our Sankirtan leader at that time. He was a brahmachari. So when during my downtime, he would have me do other things, like take books out to Port Authority and load the lockers, or just drive devotees to their Sankirtan spot or something like that. So I knew Mother Gauri through that. I used to go load the lockers, and because she was a senior devotee to me, and it was what happened in those days, she always preached to me. If somebody was a senior devotee to somebody else, they quite often would preach to them, whether it didn't matter whether it was a man or preaching to a woman or a woman preaching to a man. So she used to preach to me a lot, and I got to know her a bit like that. And also, once I drove her to Newark Airport. It was either 73 or 74, I can't remember which, but it was Thanksgiving, and it was military payday. So we drove out there, and she started distributing it. Apparently, it was something like it was kind of a stormy weekend, and the weather got so bad that they held the planes. And she had a field day. I can't remember any. She was distributing Krishna books to the servicemen, and I can't remember the numbers, but she did something. It was a record. I mean, 70, 80, maybe more Krishna books. She just everybody that I walked around, just everybody's walking around with a Krishna book. It was amazing. But she was an inspiration because, like it's already been said, she struck me as like ordinary. There was certain devotees like Mother Mula Prakriti or Mother Jadharani, they were like fireballs. You could see how they could be like outstanding sales women or Sankirtan devotees. But Mother Gauri was just kind of like, ordinary. But she transcended whatever, she made it happen. She had great faith in Prabhupada and great love for Prabhupada. And on the strength of those two qualities, she transcended whatever material, psychophysiological makeup she had to become a Sankirtan superstar. I remember when I left New York in '78 and I was living in Australia for 11 years, and I remember hearing news, you hear the Sankirtan newsletters, and I remember hearing about her, how big she was doing, and I go, wow. I was always like, Mother Gauri? Wow, far out. She transcended. She just transcended whatever her material nature was to get up there and be empowered to distribute Prabhupada's books. Yeah. Anyway, that's how I remember her. She's a great inspiration. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. Okay, I'll read this one little thing here, just caption. Is there anyone else that'd like to say something about Gauri? All right, so I'll read this. Maybe some of you can think about something. If not, then we'll just go on with our next portion of the program and take some nice Krishna prasadam. So I'll read this. If anybody else wants to say something, think about it. Okay, this is from Vidyadasi. 1 year ago, when Gauri first came to Vrindavan, she was very strong and heroic. At that time, she received so much association from her godbrothers and godsisters and good Ayurvedic medical treatment that she appeared to be miraculously cured. Gauri often said she was grateful to Krishna for this gift of 1 year, as it enabled her to return to the West and finish all the things that were undone. When she returned here to Vrindavan in November, she wanted to live. She had so many plans for preaching, and therefore thoughts of death were difficult for her. Finally, about 3 weeks before her passing, Gauri traveled to the cancer specialist hospital in Delhi, and there they explained to her that she's in the final stages. Each day she was noticeably weaker. She spoke quietly of many things, but mostly she was now anxious for death and prayed to Krishna to make her suffering short, to quickly finish her suffering material body. Gauri's greatest qualification in the eyes of the devotees was her sincere determination to please Srila Prabhupada in his service to Krishna by distributing books to the fallen souls. All of Gauri's service was marked by this incredible determination. Now, with this same determination, she turned to the business of dying as Prabhupada had instructed. She often spoke of Prabhupada's perfect example of how to leave the material body. It was her desire to leave her body while preaching as he had done. Quote, "My advancement has come from hard work," she said several times. So, we told her all the devotees had come to see her pass away, and she was very grateful for that because she really wanted to know who was there. So the devotees came around her bed and she recognized the devotees. Okay, so yes, Prabhu, one last thing here. Okay. Okay, a little bit of drama always helps. Okay? Gauri Dasi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai, Gaura Premananda Haribo. So we can go outside, we're serving out in the grass area please bring some utensils, and you can sit on the grass or take it home however you wish. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.